have onboarded hundreds of Amazon sellers as clients at this point. These are the 6 questions that we ask every single client that we onboard at PPC Farm. My name is Carly McMillan and the agency is called PPC Farm. We run profit first Amazon advertising. That means we're not just optimizing for vanity metrics like top line revenue. In fact, we are optimizing for actual gross profit. So more money to your bottom line. And at this point, we've managed millions of dollars in ad spend for our clients. Let's get into the questions that we ask our clients to make sure that they are as successful as possible on Amazon and to make sure that we are successful partners for them. The very first question, and arguably the most important piece of information that we need, is their cost of goods, or their COGS. So that is, just like it sounds, it is the cost of the product. And we need this information at the ASIN level. So how much did they pay for the manufacturing of their product and to get that product to Amazon, to get it to FBA or to get it to their customer, essentially. Why do we need this information? That seems kind of invasive. Why would an advertising agency need to know this? Well, like I said, we run profit first advertising. And so that means that we are optimizing for profit at the ASIN level. And the only way that we can do that successfully is if we know the actual margin of every single ASIN in a client's portfolio. Because that profit margin becomes then our North Star. It becomes our target ACOS, not only at the campaign level, but even at the term level within our campaigns. And so let's say a product has a profit margin of 30% and we have a 40% ACOS. We know that that campaign or that term is not profitable and we need to make adjustments. So cost of goods is the first question and maybe even the most important question that will maximize success on Amazon. The second question that we ask our clients is, what is your primary goal? And not only do we want to know their goal overall, but we want to know their goal for every single ASIN, because it can be really different depending on where that ASIN is within the product lifecycle. For example, is it in the launch phase? Is it something that you're trying to phase out and clear inventory, right? So we really need to know on an ASIN level, what is your primary goal? So for example, we actually have a drop-down menu in our questionnaire that we ask clients for during the onboarding process. And it includes, for example, profit maximization, revenue maximization, launch, clear inventory, or other, right? If there's something else, some kind of anomaly in there, but those are kind of the main categories. And you might be wondering, well, who cares if it's profit versus revenue? I just want more money, right? Well, if we're optimizing towards revenue, which we can, it's not our default mode, but we can go really aggressive with PPC, right? What that tells us is that it's okay to push spend and maybe sacrifice a little bit of profit. There could be lots of reasons for a strategy like this, but knowing that goal ahead of time is really important. Of course, on the flip side, if the client selects profit maximization, that means that we're running our default strategy, right? We are optimizing for profitability, and it might mean we're getting fewer sales, we're getting fewer revenue dollars, but all of the sales that we're getting are much more profitable. And typically that ends up creating much happier clients. Number 3 is, what are other specific goals? I know this is kind of like number 2, but sometimes you have specific numbers that you need to hit, right? Let's say you're trying to sell the company in the next 12 months and you want to make sure that you're hitting a specific revenue number in order to get the maximum valuation for your store or for your company. Then we need to know about those numbers that you need to hit so that we can hit them for you. And that could be at the ASIN level, or it could be at the overall, store level or brand level. Number 4 is going to be seasonality. Let's say you are selling Christmas cards. Then of course your peak season is probably going to be around that time in Q4, right? But some products are less obvious, and you as the client undoubtedly have better information and data on your customer behavior and when are your peaks and valleys when it comes to seasonality. And so we always want to know that, again, at the ASIN level, if possible, when working with a new client, because actually within our system, we are able to adjust for seasonality. So what that means is our system will use different look back periods depending on when that product is in its season. So for example, if it's the on season, we want to make sure we're looking at on season data in order to make sure bids aren't too low. And then on the flip side, if it's the off season, we want to make sure we're looking at off season data to make sure our bids aren't too high. That's the basic idea. So seasonality, very important. Okay, number 5, what is your budget? So this is a really, really important question, and it's something that we do really try to push for a specific number on. Some clients will try to say things like as much as it takes or as little as it takes or something like that. But if you don't actually agree on a really specific number or at least a range, it can go bad. You want to be on the same page in terms of budget, whether that's daily, weekly, monthly, whatever. You need to agree on a number. This is really, really important to make sure that you are basically hitting their goals and not breaking the bank. Last and certainly not least is number 6, which is what is your risk tolerance, or how open are you to testing and experimenting? This is kind of 2 questions, but kind of the same question. So risk tolerance basically has a little bit to do with budget, but it also has to do with running experiments. For example, we have had clients who get really, really attached to a specific price. And no matter what, no matter how much evidence we tell them that the market does not support this price, it can be difficult to make a change there. And it is sometimes due to a risk aversion, right? Or some kind of emotional connection to that price. And so that's something we need to know upfront, because our team will actually go and do these experiments for them. For example, pricing is a really easy one for us to run tests with. Can we test a couple dollars cheaper or a couple dollars higher to see how it impacts profitability, revenue, etc., right? Conversion rate, all of that. Or we would really like to test a new main image. Is that something that's okay with you? Are you okay with us bringing those kinds of suggestions to you? Most folks want to optimize and have the best possible products on Amazon that they can. But you need to set those expectations up front, explaining what you can and cannot test and what kind of capabilities you have and service offerings that are available. So those are the 6 questions that we ask clients during our kickoff and onboarding calls. It is so important to set expectations and get everything really, really clear out of the gate. So if you are running a marketing agency or if you're working with one, making sure that these 6 questions are part of the conversation is going to ensure that you have the most success on Amazon as possible. So I hope that was helpful. If you'd like to see more videos like this, you can check out my latest video here. You can also give me a subscribe here on YouTube. I'm also on LinkedIn as Carly McMillan, where I share all kinds of Amazon related tips about advertising, inventory management, listing optimization, etc. Anything related to Amazon, I am talking about it. So feel free to give me a follow or a connection over there as well. Thanks so much for watching.